How to go today?
It's great to be back out on the field. You know, it seems like such a long time since we've been out there. So, you know, that's what I love to do. I know our coaches love to do. I know our players love to do. So it's great to be back out there on the field going.
Well, just as you get going, I mean, I know there's lots of things obviously you're looking for, but some of the stuff early in camp you'd like to get settled as far as offensive line or anything like that?
I mean, we got a lot. I want a lot of learning I want to get accomplished. You know, and so you're in day one, just in helmets. To me, it's gets repetitions for guys, get them comfortable, and you know, it's hard to evaluate guys until they're fully comfortable with what we expect them to do. So, a lot of teaching over the next 2 weeks.
Kind of along those lines, how long does it take to assess how much retention there's been from the spring and how much work you think they've done?
It looked like there was. You know, I mean, work over the summer is sometimes tough to tell. You know, you're just getting out there with certain guys, and we'll see as we keep developing. But, you know, I was pleased with what appeared to be some retention. You know, I mean, I don't think it was, we weren't like crisp on every single play on offense or defense, but it wasn't confused looks on people's faces, and we put a lot in on them today.
Tobias Smith and Nico Whitley, how much are they able to do here in preseason camp?
Yeah, they're working.
Completely? Are they able to do everything, or
They're working. They're working. I mean, with the team. We don't talk about injuries.
So they're injured?
No.
I think I'll be 100% by the opener.
I'm good. Love it. See you. I got a lot to do. You guys would know we have a policy on injuries.
Yeah, I still got questions asked.
We have a policy on injuries, man. I'm really busy. You guys know the policy. Sorry. Come back with better questions tomorrow. Don't ask me questions that we have a policy on. Pretty simple, right?
So that's it?
Whoever asked it. Yeah, we got stuff to do now.
What's the plan for the first week of practice?
Are you going to have other real questions or no? I'll give you that's one.
Those are real questions. Yeah.
Okay, here, I'm going to give you our policy, which should have been covered. We do not discuss anything about injury. You're asking about what guys that were injured can do. That's discussing injuries. We don't discuss that. That's our policy. I'm great. So now we know. That'll end the interviews from the rest of camp on any of that stuff. I'll sit down and answer a couple more of your questions, but now we know. Everybody clear? Everybody clear?
Clear on the policy, it's not the...
Great. Go ahead.
How much are you, I mean, I guess pretty much the second year in a row with the majority of your freshman class being here that first semester, and pretty much the bulk of them were here again. I mean, I know it's hard to tell them first day, but those guys being here for pretty much the whole summer, how much does that help them being Coach Bayless?
You know what, I think a huge part of it is in conditioning. You know what I mean? I don't see them, you know, maybe in a shock out there, because I think the tempo of college for a lot of guys is it's a much faster practice than what they're used to in high school. A lot more things going on. So when you look at that deal, the fact that they've been able to condition with the team for the summer, they're more prepared. You know, because if they don't come in, you're taking a whole group of guys that have probably worked hard and conditioned all summer and know what to expect. And if you combine them with a group of guys that haven't, it's actually, those guys are in a dangerous position out there, and so it's great to have those guys here.
What y'all are doing differently on offense a little bit with the more passing, at what point, how far do you have to go before the guys you think feel completely comfortable with the new parts of the play?
Well, we didn't add much.
Yeah.
You know, it's all stuff that's already been in. So I think there's a great comfort in it. I think it's just the emphasis on where you go is, you know, you look, like I said, every single year, if you take 100% of our offense, we use 70% of our offense in each given season, right? And I would say probably 50% never changes. And that last 20% can be kind of fit on each year's team. So it's really that last 20% that has been in the offense before, but is now kind of bigger emphasis than years past.
Is there a different daily plan to implement that 20%? I mean, there's less open practices, which leads us to believe that you're trying to do some new things that you may just want to implement early on this year.
Not really, no. You know, I mean, we open practice for the fans, and so that's why we have open. We do have open practice. Tomorrow, Saturday's open. Try to pick the days the fans can come to, and open practice for them. You know, having it on a Saturday is why we did that one. No, to me, it's not like you're changing practice. You know, I mean, you just take your installation schedule,
Uh-huh.
and maybe stuff that was installed practice 2 last year, installed practice 10 with it much more de-emphasized,
Right.
and stuff that was installed practice 10 as kind of a periphery deal becomes practice 2. So it's not like it's a new offense. In fact, I don't even think we were talking, I don't think we have a new play.
Is it fair to say that the changes are much more in the sequence in which you call plays or how you look at things
That's
from a
what it
coaching
is.
standpoint?
Well, yeah, because you look at reps. I mean, mathematically, you spend a lot of time preparing for training camp on repetitions, where the ones, I think we have it calculated, have 500 team reps or something in training camp, right around that number against the defense. So you take those 500 reps, and then you can break them down to what you're going to practice. And so something you're going to emphasize is going to get 80 reps, and something you're going to de-emphasize is going to get 10. You know, just so they understand the concept. And that's where you're trying to match the numbers. Hey, these are things you're going to emphasize more. They're going to get a little bit more repetition.
You talked about in the spring, and then Coach Bayless said it in the summer too, and some players did too, about seeing a different Tyler as far as taking command and leadership role. Did you see that starting out today? I mean,
Yeah, I see a Tyler that's very comfortable. You know what I mean? I'm not a guy that's out there thinking on the field. I think I see a guy that obviously going to make mistakes. But the great thing when he makes a mistake, he kind of knows the mistake he made, or when you're talking about, he understands what happened. Where some younger guys and how he used to be in the past, sometimes you'll tell them, they'll be like, you can see, they're like, wow, I didn't get that at all. So, I mean, you got to go back and teach it on film. With the experienced guy like Tyler, he sees it.
I know Marcus Green obviously wasn't there in the spring. Found out later he's get to 60 years. He looked like he's been staying in good shape.
Yeah, because he got, you know, he worked out with the team the second half of the summer, and I think when he found out that was an option, you know, I mean, he's prepared, and he's an older guy. I think, especially when you're kind of that older veteran guy, you know, training camp, he knows what to expect. He's been around since his 4th training camp with us. He knows what's going to happen, and that, I think, makes it easier to prepare for.
How do you break up Saturday?
Hmm?
How do you plan to break up Saturday in 2 sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
Young
newcomers and
Yeah,
old
you know, by each position coach has a different reason maybe for putting, you know, I want this guy with this guy, you know what I mean? And I want this group working together. And I think it's very positional oriented. It's not like kind of a flat across the board. I've talked to coaches, I said, you know, why do you want, like for example, Craig Knox came to me and he wants Perkins and Josh Robinson together, and Milton and Griffin together, you know, and Akins is in camp, but you know, I mean, that's why I'm, you know, why one of them, you know, he wants Perkins' influence in Josh, and the other two kind of talk a lot football-wise. You know, so each coach has its own reason why we do it, and a reason we do the split practice is we had an installation today. I did the same installation again on Saturday, so it's kind of a review of today's stuff. But, you know, when you get in line and there's 2 running backs instead of 5 running backs, you get a lot more specific teaching to kind of whole it.
Coach Jackson talked a lot about Blaine Clausell adding some weight and all that. How's that, you think, going to help him this year at the left tackle position? Now he's got a little bit of that experience.
Well, I think, you know, I mean, obviously the size just to handle the guys in the league. That, you know, I mean, his body's kind of maturing into being an SEC player. You know, you don't worry about, he always had the athleticism, but it's that maturing, that physical strength and the girth and the size that'll help him out.
Only 2 scholarship quarterbacks. Is there any little extra emphasis on getting Golden and Swindle ready just in case they have to be that emergency quarterback?
Yeah, they took reps today. You know, and that's part of it. When you split the practice, I think we have 2 of those days, and they're going to get half the reps at a practice, so they'll actually get some opportunities to function on the field, and you know, and then we'll see those guys. You know, we always get, you know, a third quarterback's always getting reps. I know he's not getting the reps maybe that 1s and 2s are getting, but what we haven't done is we're not eliminating the third quarterback reps and just giving them to the other 2 guys.
Will we see
Maybe
maybe
more
guys different positions? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Will we see the guys maybe different positions and some tests like safeties or things like that this on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't like.
Like maybe Broom or some of your cornerbacks switching around?
Yeah, we're like, yeah, Broomfield's playing some safety. Is that one? I don't view who's a different, that's why we have guys going all over the place doing different things. So I
You
don't
saw, along the
view
same,
who's a different.
Kind of a test, test the guys around.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it's still a defensive back, so, it's kind of safety and nickel and this and that will move guys around that, even though it's really the same position.
Right.
A little more unique fall in the sense you still have to worry about the amount of contact Tyler and Dak get just because of the depth you have at that position, correct, or no?
Yeah, I'll protect them probably a little bit, sometimes I'm pretty, I guess if people come, in the spring times, a lot of times I let those guys get hit and beat up every once in a while, and.
Seems like more of a numbers game this year.
This year, we'll
even.
protect them a little bit more, and even this spring, we did, I don't know, again, I mean, I was much more protective of them this spring, where if you have more of them, I kind of let them have a little bit more freedom and play a little bit more live to get ready to go, but we'll protect them a little bit.
at the end of spring, you were talking about Clausell a while ago, you kind of work Clausell Summit left and right and sit away, and Damien also looks to the left. Is that something that continues in the fall, or are you pretty settled with them?
Yeah, because, I mean, when you get guys ready, a lot of times, you're traveling with travel squads and all that stuff. If you're taking, sometimes 8 linemen are getting ready. You have 3 tackles, 3 guards, and 2 centers. So they got to be able to swing back and forth, and a lot of that also depends on depth. If you feel if we feel there's 4 tackles ready to go, then you don't have to really swing a guy. But I guess you really do that anyway, because you're an injury away from having 3, and someone better be ready to go become the swing guy at that point.
So is that kind of what Sedway and Damien's still doing?
Yeah.
Still at
Oh, yeah.
wide?
Somebody's gonna. Yeah, we'll always have guys kind of playing both, and moving guys at different, and just throwing in there like what happened potentially in a game that they kind of their home position's this position, but they might have to have a secondary.
You think changing things as far as, closing down practice and maybe going to the farm earlier this year, that grabs the guy's attention more? Is there some thought behind that, or is there anything?
No, it's all schedule based for us. When we look days at the farm of what practice number we want to go to the farm at, how many practices we have out there. It's all based on that way, and you counting back from the first game of, when you want to scrimmage and all of these things to balance out the reps. Every year is going to be a little bit different depending on the calendar. With, for example, we can't practice tomorrow as final exams are going on. We couldn't wait till after finals exams because there weren't going to be enough days for us to even practice before the first game then. So, you got to kind of, those type of things have effect on it.
Well, it was disappointment from your staff, because, I don't have to tell you, you'd have diehards out there every day if you made them all open.
Oh, for our fans?
For the fans, you have diehard fans out there every day.
But we do, we open up spring practice. I know a lot of people don't even open spring practice out there. I think we're probably more open than a lot of teams in the country. So we open Saturdays practice, so,
it's fewer than normal, so I didn't know if y'all were trying to close ranks a little bit.
No, we just, sometimes we'll open up 2 or something, or 3. When we looked at the calendar, there was a Saturday practice. That made sense for the fans, that, that would be a day they'd come out to see it. There's 2 practices that day, so they can come out, and, if they can't make the morning, they got a Little League game, they can come at night. That's why we did it.
Long day for y'all.
Yeah, usually on the coaches' evaluations, they're not the biggest fans. As long as there's a break in between, I think 2 years ago or last year, we did them back-to-back. We got a lot of negative reviews from our coaching staff on